I, you are good, Michelle. Greetings. My name is Rhonda Jones. I am the MESSA Health Promotion Consultant. Thank you for joining me on this Monday happy hour. Today, we're going to talk about having a healthy breakfast on the run. This is our second session with Hebni Nutrition Consultants. And I'm so happy to have our guest here today. But first, let me tell you, if this is new to you, MESSA Wellness, and if this is your first time meeting me, I am the health promotion consultant. What I do is I help school employees create worksite wellness programs. If you're not familiar with worksite wellness programs, it's a way of bringing a culture, a work culture that supports healthy lifestyles. So it's so hard to navigate a healthy lifestyle from 8 to 5, or when you work 8, 10, 12 hours a day and on the weekends, yet you hear about all the information, the education, awareness about we need to live healthy lifestyles, we need to exercise, we need to eat right, we need to meal prep, but it's hard to navigate during the workday. A worksite wellness program is about creating that culture for your worksite, providing you and your colleagues an opportunity to learn how to meal prep, to learn what exercises you can do on the job or off the job, to learn stress management, and to learn about your MESSA wellness benefits. I can come and help you do that. I can do it brick and mortar now if you are back in the building, and I can do it virtually and get almost any place in Michigan now virtually. So I'd love to help you. If you're interested in that, go ahead and contact me. You can contact me at healthy@mesa.org, and we can talk about how we can create a worksite wellness program for your school district. Now, the session we're doing today is something you can do for your school district. If you find that there is a need to learn how to meal prep or find different ways to eat healthy, this might be the type of activity you offer to your colleagues or your school district. So let's get started. It is 4 o'clock. I'm gonna bring Ronice on, and let me tell you a little bit about her real quick. Ronice Weaver is the founding partner and director of operations for Hebni Nutrition Consultants. Now, what I want you to do, if you're on Facebook, I want you to go out and find Hebni, Hebni Nutrition Consultants, and like them on Facebook. They do great live sessions on cooking demonstrations, and they provide lots of information on how to meal prep. Miss Weaver and her team are closely connected to delivering a variety of health models to underserved communities living in food deserts, something we really need. She provides educational seminars to health organizations across the country. She has her BS in food science and human nutrition from the University of Florida, and she received her master's of health care administration from the University of St. Francis. So Ronice has a master's, and she is a registered dietitian. So we're so fortunate to have her. And I'm going to mute myself and bring Ronice on. I'm sorry, and bring her on. Make sure you're muted out there so she can tell us about eating a healthy breakfast.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for your kind words, Rhonda. It's a pleasure to be with MESSA today, and I am your host, and we're going to talk about meal planning and meal preparation, but one of the biggest things that we really need to first focus on is getting that first meal of the day in our stomachs before we walk out of the house. And I know you're living with the COVID pandemic, such as I am. I actually don't have any children in my home, but I have a lot of colleagues that say, my kids are home, I gotta work, I'm working from home, and I gotta feed them and I gotta do everything. And you just can't wait for them to go back to school so life can become that new normal again. So we got to find creative ways to get them fed and get yourself together for the day. So I got a recipe that I really like, and I want to focus on how do we get breakfast whether it's in the car or even at home in a quick way that's really, really healthy. We do have ingredients in front of us. Have an overripe banana, some maple syrup, a little salt, some cinnamon, some flaxseed. We're going to talk about that in a second. Pumpkin seeds, apple butter, craisins and raisins. We're going to use fresh oatmeal, and we're going to also use, that's it. That's all we have. And we're going to mix all this up together. This recipe is so good because it allows you to cook with your children and get them involved. Many of us may not have children who like to eat oatmeal, and we have got this recipe designed where you could sneak some things in and they don't know it. You know, I'm always saying, if Bill Clinton said, don't ask, don't tell, don't bring it up, don't talk about it, and don't say it. Women tell everything. I put egg beaters in the muffins this morning, or I snuck some carrots in the spaghetti. Listen, Steinmart was one of my favorite stores. And when I bought 5 or 6 pairs of shoes, I did not tell my husband anything. He said, oh, that's a new pair of shoes, or is that a new dress? And I said, no, you just don't look at me like you used to. So I just sneak it in and bring it in whenever I can, but I don't advertise what I've changed to the food. A lot of people think because it's healthy, it's not going to taste right. But if you work on them slowly and gradually make some changes, you can find out how they can really start a heart healthy diet and don't really know it. My partner that you'll meet in April, I'll tell you a little story about her. She was at her mother-in-law's home. And she may even tell this story when she see you guys in April. But her mother-in-law made this big, beautiful pound cake. And you know, pound cake is good coming straight out of the oven. And her husband said, well, I want a glass of milk. I want a cold glass of milk with my pound cake because that's the way he liked to eat it. And his mom said, son, I got milk, but it's that low-fat milk. And he said, Mama, you know I don't drink low-fat milk. Fabiola jumped up off the sofa and said, you've been drinking it for 4 years. She took the tops off the milk and changed the blue to red. So he thought he was still drinking whole milk. And it took her 4 years before he finally discovered that he was drinking 1% milk. So it does work if we just stay quiet for a little while and just watch how they react to making those changes. It's easy to do, but I'm a believer. Don't tell it all, just let's focus on how we can get them to eat in a healthy way. You know, we're living in the middle of a pandemic, and we're living and seeing people who have comorbidities, diabetes and hypertension and cancer and things that are not good for our health, and it impairs the development of our healthiness as we go through this pandemic. So we got to really focus on building up our immunities, adding more fiber to our diet, adding vitamin A and C foods into our diet. Some of us may have to lose weight. Some of us are doing intermittent fasting. Some of us are going gluten-free. You know, I believe whatever works for you, let's stick with that plan. But I don't like huge fad diets like the Atkins diet that makes you eat extremely low carbohydrate foods. Because once you get that weight, you get a rebound effect if you start adding those carbs. I am a strong believer of keeping carbs in your diet. Whole grains is a must because whole grains also help us with our metabolism and also the way our foods digest. And many of our good carbohydrates are good for our heart, and they reduce our cholesterol as well. So I'm not a big supporter of very low carbohydrate diets. If you need it to jumpstart you, fine, but I am really concerned about how you gradually add those carbohydrates back. You can get a rebound effect and gain twice as much weight back on the back end. So I'm always focused on how you can focus on eating about 150 grams of carbohydrates for the entire day. And I usually count carbs and I don't count calories. It's too much to track, too much to follow. But when I count carbohydrates, I look at it like money because I like to spend money and I like to spend my husband's money. So I give myself 150 grams of carbohydrates to spend for the whole day. So when I do that, I have 50 for breakfast, 50 for lunch, and 50 for dinner. But I'm real specific about how I spend them. So it's like going to Steinmart or Macy's. You got to get what's on sale. So we know dark green leafy vegetables are low carbohydrates. That's something I put in a buggy because I could eat a big bag of spinach and it's only 4 grams of carbohydrates. But if I had a big bag of rice or plantains or yuca, that's a high carbohydrate food. Orange juice can be a high carbohydrate food if you drink a lot. Sodas, that's the budget buster. 1 can of Coke, 45 grams of carbohydrates. That's not going in the buggy. So if I have only 50 to spend for breakfast and I drink a Coke, some of you guys might be Coke drinkers, Pepsi drinkers. Let's not even talk about Mountain Dew. The carbs are really high. So I can't add that into my meal plan because of the carb load. So I'm concerned about that. So let's look at carbohydrates like you spend money. Look at the lower carbohydrate numbers and see how you can add that. I always say green is your friend all day long. Spinach, cabbage, kale, broccoli, asparagus. Those things fill you up and they are very low carbohydrate foods. You could throw it into an omelet. You could eat it in your salad and make sure you always have it on a dinner table for dinner as well. They fill you up and allow you to have that small bowl of rice or that extra slice of bread that you might want without having the guilt. So that's my take on carbohydrates. But I'm here to talk to you this morning about meal planning and how we're going to do this dish. We'll do 2 things. We'll talk about how to do a yogurt parfait, especially if you have kids in the house and you're working and you can't be distracted and you want them to eat something healthy for lunch. But we're going to get into our breakfast cookie. So we need 1 banana, one that's really overripe. So we're going to put the overripe banana. The softer the banana, the better. Your kids, if they're little, they will love this recipe because it allows them to get their hands dirty. We need 2 cups of oatmeal, which is a whole grain. So we're going to put our oatmeal in here. We're going to put all of our ingredients in. A cup of craisins, a cup of raisins. And you're going to see I don't have 1 bit of sugar in this recipe. We're going to also add half a cup of pumpkin seeds. We're going to add half a teaspoon of salt, 1 teaspoon of cinnamon. You can either use apple butter or apple sauce. Either one works. So we're going to get all of that in. And that is 1/3 of a cup of apple butter. And we're going to add some flax seeds. Now, you don't have to add all of it. The flax seed is about 1/4 of a cup. The one thing I discovered, you can't make these cookies too big. They taste really, really good, but I have one big problem with eating a big cookie. And I have a twin sister who is a registered dietitian as well. And she made the recipe and called me and she said, "What's in this cookie?" And I gave her the recipe and she said, it gave her gas. And she said, I'm passing gas all day long. And I said, it's the flaxseed. I said, how big was your cookie? And she said, well, I ate a really big one. I said, well, the bigger the cookie, the more gas you get from it. So make sure when you do this, the cookies are small, so we won't run people out of the room. We're gonna also add some maple syrup to this. And we're gonna add 2 cups of peanut butter. Now, if you have a nut allergy, you can also add almond butter or any nut butter that you particularly like. But we're gonna do 2 cups of peanut butter. So that's 3 ounces, that's 6, and another scoop. I like when I have a big jar of peanut butter, it's just easy to get it out of this big jar with an ice cream scoop instead of trying to put it in a measuring cup. So I have color-coded scoops at home. So I know this is a 3-ounce one, and it helps me out quite a bit, and it's not nearly as messy. We have to glove up because it's going to get a little messy, and we have to mix. On the spoon won't do it justice, but as soon as I get this on my hand, we mix it up. And I love it when our kids do it at the schools that we teach at, because it gets them involved. You know, getting your children, and let me move this out of the way so you guys, getting your children in the kitchen. So we're gonna mix this. This is the part they love. They love mixing this up. And it's gonna get stiff on you, but we gotta mix, and mix some more.
We can see it better when you hold it up like that.
All right. We got any questions while I mix this? We gotta mix it for about two minutes or so, because I want everything to mix up really well. Now you can use a low sugar peanut butter, because we do have some natural sugars in here. We got our natural sugars from our craisins. We have natural sugar from our raisins. And you could probably also add dates if you like, but you need to chop them up and mix them up really, really well. It's starting to get really, really stiff. You want to mix it up real good. Now, this also keeps very well in the refrigerator. It's going to get a bit stiff because it does harden up in the refrigerator. But if you bring it up to room temperature, you could scoop it out really good and make cookies in advance. I usually scoop it and then freeze it, and then pop the cookies out of the freezer and let them thaw, and then bake. And that works real well too. Y'all quiet. Y'all got any questions? You can put them in the chat room too.
Yes, you have some questions. What was the measurement for the maple syrup?
The maple syrup was 1/4 of a cup.
1/4 of a cup.
Right.
Do you grind the flaxseed?
I did use the ground flaxseed. If you have diverticulitis, I probably would not use whole flaxseed or diverticulosis. They can get in those corners and crevices of your gut and create a little bit of pain. So I would use the ground flaxseed instead. Now, there's some great benefits to this recipe. Almost 50% of your fiber intake is in this one cookie. And I could get about 12 cookies out of this dough, depending on what size the scoop. And see, it's really mixed up well now because it's not sticking to my gloves nearly as bad. So there we go. All right. So I will take my gloves off and we'll work on scooping this. You want to set your oven to 325 to bake these. And you're going to bake them for about 10 minutes. You don't want them to get really hard because they do stay soft on the inside. I love soft cookies. That is my favorite. And I'm really surprised how soft these stay even after you bake them. But I think it's better if you just bake them on demand, so you could get a nice, fresh, hot cookie in the morning. So where's our fiber coming from on the recipe? We're getting fiber from our raisins. We're getting fiber from our craisins, our oatmeal, a little bit from the apple butter. All of these things combined together gives us at least 50% of our fiber intake. For those of you who don't know this, colon cancer is the #3 killer that affects us from nutrition-related diseases. And we are not getting nearly as much fiber as we can. I always recommend that you can eat a cold cereal, but it's not Frosted Flakes. And I hate to disappoint your children, but that's not the best cereal that you should probably be eating. I would normally recommend All Bran, which is a grainy cereal, or Fiber One. That's another one you can just kind of pour in a cereal jar and don't tell them the brand name of it and just let them eat it. It works really well. But Fiber One gives you over 50% of your fiber intake for the whole day. So if you wanted to get 100% of your fiber intake, you can have a bowl of cereal in the morning or double up on it, or have a small bowl of cereal at night before you go to bed. And that's a great way to get fiber in your food. It makes you regular, and it also helps reduce your cholesterol. So that's what I really like about this recipe. I got 50% of fiber in my diet, and it's really, really good. So we got to now pan this up, and we will go back to my scoop.
Ronice, your camera went off. There you go.
Someone was calling me. I'm sorry. Don't you dread those calls when somebody's calling you and they don't know you're on Zoom?
Right.
So just a small scoop. This is a little bigger than normal. This is a 3-ounce scoop, but it scoops just like this. And I'll do another one. And we need to flatten these out. So we can take my knife and just flatten the tops. Or if you kept your gloves on, you could also pat it down. Or you can use a big spoon like this and just flatten it. And then we're gonna bake this in the oven for about 10 minutes or so. So I'm gonna pop this one in the oven. All right, and we got any questions?
I'm checking it. Oh, wow, we do. Do you have the calories for a 3-ounce cookie?
It roughly runs about 250 calories, depending on the size of your cookie. I usually recommend for adult women, we probably should be eating about 500 calories for every meal. You could go a little heavier for lunch and make dinner light, but usually the number for many of us it averages from 1,500 calories for the whole day up to 2,000. It all depends on your energy intake and what you're putting out in terms of energy. If you're running or you're jogging or you're swimming or if you're biking, if you're that active, you can eat more calories. If you're breastfeeding, you certainly should be eating more calories. But someone in my height category, in my size, the average intake for me is about 500 calories for the whole day. Now, a lot of us sometimes skip breakfast and we got a report that's due and we skip lunch too, and you wait until that glorious meal at the end of the day. You're hungry, you got a headache, you're in a bad mood, and you eat everything that is in front of you. That's a really bad habit that we want to break. I always say break the fast. So we got to get something in our belly early in the morning to get us started. If you eat breakfast, a lot of people think that if they don't eat breakfast, they're going to lose weight. Your body is screaming, saying, hey, where the food at? And it's going to hold on to those fat stores because you got to burn your calories from something. And you can burn fat. It's called gluconeogenesis, but you can burn it, but that's not a good way to manage your lifestyle because your body gets used to it and you can't shed the fat off. It's better to eat breakfast, eat lunch, and eat dinner, and you'll find that you will lose weight because you're not waiting for the end of the day to fill up the tank. Our body is like a car. And if we're going out of the house on empty and we're just relying on fumes, it's not good. We do much better when we eat breakfast. So I focus on 500 calories for breakfast, 500 calories for lunch, and sometimes 700, and then a light meal. I try to eat a lighter meal in the evening and my heaviest meal during the day. And I practice portion control. If I'm eating out at a restaurant, I focus on the portion sizes and I use my hand as a guide. My fist is considered to be 1 cup. My thumbnail, and if you got acrylic nails, I'm not talking about the acrylic nail, just your thumbnail. That's the amount for your butter or your spreads. A lot of us love to eat Red Lobster. We put butter on those biscuits. It should be no bigger than your thumbnail. If you are a snacker and you love snacks, whether it's Oreo cookies or grapes, it should be the size of the cup of your hand. Just a cup. Anything that falls out of your hand, it's not yours. You want to focus on what's in the palm of your hand. And meat. A lot of people don't like me to talk about meat in this portion size because it should be about the palm of your hand. And it's your hand, not your husband's hand, your children's hand. It's your hand. So don't sit there and look at the size of his steak or the size of his chicken or salmon and wonder, why does he have a bigger piece? It should be about the size of your hand and about the thickness of your palm. That's generally how I decide what my portions are. I'm sorry, my phone rings a lot. So that the thickness of the.
We lost you.
Yes.
We can't see you right now. Your video's off. There you go.
Got it? Okay. Yeah. My phone rings. I'm sorry. So we talk about also in terms of how do we balance this the whole year. It's hard to eat healthy every day. It's tough. I have a tough time too. 365 days that God gave us. But how can I eat healthy all the time? We really have to focus on that. And you know, I do have my cheat days. And I look at the entire year. And I tell people all the time, if we eat like it's Christmas, it's going to be, we'll have a problem with that. But if we pick the holidays that really have some meaning to us, that you want to celebrate with food, whether it's food or beverages or something special that you really want to have, that ooey-gooey chocolate cake or those brownies or whatever the case may be, pick those celebration days in advance. And so I call them Christmas, Thanksgiving, New Year's, birthdays that might happen in the house, anniversaries, promotions, even your divorce. You could do what you want. I don't care. But try to focus on 20 of those days being your cheat days. So that's roughly about 2, maybe 3 days out of the month. And it adds up to about 20 days throughout the year. But you have to ask yourself, did I eat good today? Or did I eat well? And when you sit down at the table and you look at your food and say, am I eating good today? And eating good is Popeye's chicken or Bojangles chicken and a biscuit and coleslaw and apple pie. That's eating good. But did I eat well? And if we're going to eat in that fast lane and eat on the run and eat out of bags and boxes, and you know that it's not the healthiest choice, we're eating good. But if we focus on eating well, we are now beginning a journey that sticks for a lifetime. So I really, really want you to focus on how do we continue to eat well, and then save those 20 days out of the year where you can eat good and do what you want. That's a couple laps around the block, swimming a little bit longer, or just taking an extra long walk during the day. And that really does help a lot. So I'll stop talking for a second. Do we have any questions?
Okay, so you were answering the question, do you have the calories for a 3-ounce cookie? And you did give us that answer.
Yeah.
And what else do you have with your cookie?
Oh, you can add a single piece of fruit. You can have a banana, apple, or orange with this. The cookie is very filling because you got protein in it, and you also have your grains. And a lot of times people breakfast, but within 2 hours it was gone and you're hungry again. You want to always try to pair your meals up with a protein source, only because when carbohydrates hit your gut, they digest first. Then proteins digest second. That stops you from getting so hungry so quick. So you always want to make sure you have a protein source in your diet. It could be a boiled egg, it could be a peanut butter sandwich, it could be a nut butter, it could be turkey bacon. It doesn't have to be real bacon. Turkey bacon is an excellent substitute, but you also remember bacon is a fat and it falls in that category. But going to turkey bacon does not give you an excuse to have 4 or 5 slices. You want to make sure you always read that food label and look at what serving sizes really, really consist of. And if the cookie is not the thing you want to do and you're trying to get the kids out of the house, we can also do this dish and focus on making a yogurt parfait, which I'll do really quick. If you have a Greek yogurt at home, I normally put a little bit of vanilla flavoring in it just to give it a little extra taste. So I'll put a splash of that in it. Not a lot, because you want your yogurt to not get overwhelmed. Stir that in really good and teach your children how to make their own breakfast so they can still go back to the computer and get their assignment done if they're at home. So we're going to put about 3 ounces of yogurt in this cup, and we're going to hit it with some fruit. So berries are in season. So we got blackberries and strawberries. Florida is known for berries. So we have a lot of blackberries, blueberries, and strawberries in season here in Central Florida. So we just drop our fruit in. And fruit still needs to fit also in the palm of your hand, and especially grapes. We go to Walmart or our local grocery stores or Albertsons, and we think that whole bag is for us while we're sitting there watching the news, and it's not. We have to make sure we understand what a serving is. So we want to cut up our fruit and make sure whatever size fruit you pick, it fits in the palm of your hand. So I cut up my strawberries here and put some there. I'll put a little bit more yogurt. And I like the Greek yogurt because the protein sources will hold us. And then we just finish it off on the top with some granola. You get that extra crunch that we need in it for breakfast. And it's really easy to do. You can actually do it so early the day before to allow all the flavors to blend, and just hit it with a strawberry and put it at the bottom of the refrigerator. So when the kids get hungry, they don't have to reach so high and they won't disturb you. And all they have to do is open up the refrigerator and grab it. And they got their breakfast parfait, or they can have it as a snack for lunch as well. I think my cookies might be ready. Y'all know that was the magic of TV. So I made a batch before we got started, and this is what they look like. It's a great cookie, and it's really nice and soft in the middle. So it's got lots of moisture. You're getting the moisture in the middle from the bananas and the apple butter. The raisins also help, and the craisins, but that moisture is going to always stay with you with this cookie. I recommend at least doing a smaller scoop. A 3-ounce scoop is rather big, but I wanted to make sure you understood what the size was. And if I put the cookie together, it actually fits right here in the palm of my hand, but you could go smaller. So if flax really gives you a lot of gas, the smaller cookie tends not to create the bloating that you may feel. We got any more questions?
I don't see any questions. However, there are several requests for the recipe to this. They want to make sure you'll be sending us the recipe.
Sure.
With
I'll send Rhonda the recipe as soon as we sign off, and I'll get it to you right away. But quickly, it's easy to remember. It's a 1-bowl dish, 2 cups of oatmeal, the quick dry oatmeal, half a teaspoon of salt, 1 teaspoon of ground cinnamon, 2 cups of peanut butter or 2 cups of any nut butter of your choice, 1/4 cup of maple syrup or honey is your preference, 1/3 cup of apple butter or applesauce, 1 large soft banana, overripe and mash it up, which is about half a cup, half a cup of craisins, which is the dried cranberries, half a cup of pumpkin seeds, and that's optional. You don't have to do it, but I like it because of the fiber. Half a cup of raisins, golden raisins or just regular raisins, and 1/4 cup of flax seeds. And that's going to also help boost that number up. It gets your grains in, and also reduce that cholesterol that we're always trying to work on reducing.
Are there any substitutes for the flaxseed?
You could try ground chia seeds, but I probably would not use as many. When the chia seeds get wet, they swell up. They have a huge fiber intake, and it's a superfood, but I probably use just 1/8 of a cup of chia seeds. It doesn't have a really strong flavor in the cookie at all, but I would probably just use about 1/8 of a cup, because I know that chia seed is going to really expand out, and you don't want that to mess up the texture of the cookie.
Great, thank you. And I believe this is a repeat question. Do you grind the flaxseed?
No, I find it's easy to find in the grocery store flaxseed that's already ground. If you want to buy the whole one, you can and just grind it. Put it in a coffee grinder and it'll grind up, or you could buy it already ground. You can find that already ground at Sam's and Costco's.
Costco's, thank you. And then will the recipe include carbs, fat, and protein, the nutritional information?
Yes, I'll send that over as well.
Great, thank you. Any other questions for Ronice? Somebody, well, this is my request as well. Can you send the cookie right today?
How many guys trying to figure out them to do Zoom classes with their teacher? And how many of y'all think your children you're the teacher now, and you have to engage with them and do work? It's a juggle. It's meal planning one-on-one. I find it a little difficult for many of our parents who got young kids, and they say, I just can't do all of this. I found that if you work out a meal plan on Sunday and plan everything as much as possible through the week, you find yourself not picking up McDonald's or Burger King or BurgerFi. We got to work on not eating in the fast lane and eating out of boxes and bags. It's really important that we control what we put in our bellies so we can see better outcomes. Heart disease is still a #1 killer of many people across the country. And I don't know about you, even though I'm a dietitian, I gained 10 pounds. That's my COVID weight. And I got to figure out how to get rid of it. I got to go to a wedding in 2 weeks. And I just noticed that I can't get in the dress that I really want to wear. And eating and watching TV and watching CNN and watching Dr. Fauci, I gained weight because I was eating in front of the TV, and it got me in trouble. And so now I got to get back on my squat machine and go out. It's now getting really warm here in Orlando, Florida, so I can work out more, walk more, and daylight saving time has helped us out. So it doesn't get dark until about 8:30 in the evening. So now I got to get out and exercise more. I got my shot, so I feel good about that. And we still practice social distancing around here. Now I could freely move about better and not have so many worries about that. But exercise really, 10,000 steps a day is what we really want to focus on. And we want to also work on not drinking our calories. That makes you gain a lot of weight. I am a big coffee drinker, and I've learned over the years not to put so much sugar in my coffee, but I focus on using infused water bottles so I can get my water to taste like the fruit that I'm drinking. Like I'll put strawberries in my water, strawberries and basil leaves in my water so I can drink more water. Sometimes I put cucumbers and mint leaves in my water because I just want my water to have a better flavor. But if you're drinking your calories, which includes juices, I really want you to understand juice should be about the size of this cup right here, a 6-ounce glass. I want you to drink your juice in the morning. You may have meds that you need to take, and it's okay to drink juice, orange juice, apple juice, grape juice. However, I want you to eat your fruit instead of drink your fruit. It is just so easy to guzzle down liquid calories. I saw a lady about 6 months ago, and she said she gained all this weight, and I found out that she was drinking orange juice all day long to quench her thirst. And I had to suggest to her to switch to water or infused water to get her to drop our calories because it's so easy to do. It's so easy to drink, to go in the refrigerator and refresh yourself. But water is really what you want to focus on. 8 glasses of water a day or more is what our focus should be. But if water is not your cup of tea, certainly infuse it with some fruits or some mint leaves or basil, anything that's going to add some flavor to it to get you to drink more water. At least 1 glass of water every time you sit down and eat, water before you go to bed, water in the morning when to wake out, drink our calories. There's been a study out there saying that women can lose 20% of their weight if they drink water and not drink their calories with fruit juices, like orange juice and apple juice and things like that. So we want to create some priorities. And
thank you, Ronice.
yes,
What are the best ways to store the cookies? There's a question in the chat. What is the best way to store the cookies?
I store them in a Ziploc bag at room temperature. But the rest of my dough, I will take all of these cookies, I will take all of this dough right here, and I will scoop them and make individual servings on the front end. When this gets cold, it gets really hard. So I would prefer to scoop it, shape it, and then put it in the refrigerator. This lasts for weeks, about 2 to 3 weeks in the refrigerator. These cookies are so good that you probably won't store them that long in the refrigerator, but if you do, they will last up to 2 to 3 weeks in the refrigerator, shaped and formed as you did them with your ice cream scoop. Room temperature, it keeps for a few days, 3 to 4 days room temperature, but I would prefer that you refrigerate them and shape them in advance.
Wonderful, wonderful.
You could put them in a Ziploc bag and put them in your bread box.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Ronice, for this information. It has been wonderful, wonderful having you here with us today, all the way from Florida. I'm jealous that you're in that sunshine and warm weather, but we have it too right now. Today in Michigan, it's 70 degrees and sunny. So I hope we all are
about to open up, and we're practicing safe distancing, and we're wearing our mask, and we would love to have you guys come down and spend some time with us in the sunny state of Orlando, Florida.
We will be there. Now tell me, Ronice, this type of service you've just done for us, is this something, if I were a school employee, I wanted to start a worksite wellness program, or I just wanted to see what kind of
we do a lot of training with the Food and Nutrition Services departments on recipe development and recipe standardization and their staff. But we do have opportunities for you to cook with a dietitian or even cook with a chef through our nutrition practice. I have a nutrition practice downtown near the football stadium. And we were one of the first minority groups to put a kitchen in a middle of a food desert. And I realized, I said, wow, this is such a good thing for a community where they don't have access to fresh fruits and vegetables. And we continue our mission and vision by creating a mobile farmers market. And you'll see that on our Facebook page on Ebony. It's called the Fresh Stop Bus. So we have this gigantic 40-foot city bus that was donated to our nonprofit organization. And we gutted it out, and the hospital funded us with a sizable grant. And we give, we gutted the bus out and fill it with produce and go out to different communities to make sure that they have access to fresh fruits and vegetables. So we're really delighted with the mobile market and what we've been able to attain in our communities, because we all need that push and that leg up to get our health in order.
Great, thank you so much. And thank you everyone for joining us. We will have Hebni Nutrition Consultants back at our Spring Worksite Wellness Conference. It's April 30th. It starts at 9 a.m. until 2 p.m. Go to MESSA.org and you can register yourself and your colleagues. It is virtual. If you register and you find that that time doesn't fit into your schedule, you'll still get the recording. Also, after the conference, because we'll be recording it, you'll be able to find it on our website. And you know what? Just check out our website, check out the MESSA Wellness area. There's lots of sources for your worksite wellness program, or you personally. We have other recordings of sessions with other wellness experts across the nation, and we brought them to you virtually in our new digital world. So definitely take advantage of that. And I just want to thank you again, and everyone have a great rest of your Monday.